What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Pete's Carport. On today's video, what I want to do is show you guys the possibilities of repairing oxidized paint or orange peeled paint when it's kind of mild to medium, using stuff that you can just pick up from the store. And this seems to be a very common issue out here in Florida when anybody leaves their car outside for an extended period of time, or just as cars age in the sun in Florida. So I have a perfect example, and that is a project car that we've been working on quite a bit on this channel, and it's our 2002 C32 AMG. Now, yesterday I pulled it out into the sun and I recorded a lot of the stuff that we're going to be repairing today, and I'm going to clip that in now as I talk. So also yesterday I went ahead and repaired the mirrors. The mirrors were completely shot. I went to try to polish them out just to see what would happen, and I decided that I was going to see if I can do a quick paint to them. So I went ahead and wet sanded them down, and then applied a quick paint and clear coat. Now, that paint was not the factory paint. In fact, it was something I had sitting around, but it was very close. I tested it out in a spot and I was very satisfied with it. And like I said, this is going to be on a super low budget. And now let's go ahead and step over to the table. I'm going to show you everything I'm going to be using to do this, and I'm not going to go into heavy detail with all of this stuff. I'm just going to clip in things I do. Really, this video is going to just show you the full outcome and what I use to do it, and kind of a small example of each one of these. So I've got my Bauer dual action polisher, which I absolutely love, and I've got polishing pads. We're going to be using some compound and polish. I got the Meguiar's Ultimate here. And then I've got a 3000 grit pad, and that's going to be really to take off some of the slight oxidation or some of the orange peel that is kind of coming up, so we can level that out. And we're going to be using 1500 grit before we use the 3000 on some of the worst areas. Now, we do have some dings and dents that are up in the upper panel right along the window. So I've never used this Duraglass, but I ordered it to do our wide body SL500, and I'm excited to try it out because I like to try things out before diving heavily into a project. So we're going to use that today, see how it works, but I think it's going to do a really good job. And this is the paint that I painted those mirrors with, so we're going to have to touch up that spot that we fill in sand, and I'm just going to blend this in. I'll show you guys a little bit of that. I threw on some gloves and some more sandpaper. Oh, and I've got this Bauer sander here. So all very inexpensive items I'm going to be using. You know, as far as like the machines that I'm going to be using, probably less than $100 between the two, and everything else is stuff you can really just pick up at the auto parts store and kind of accomplish something. So the last thing that we're going to be doing, which is something you would have to decide if you're going to finish off, I'm excited about this because I think this is going to complete everything on this and just really make the car look amazing, and that is applying this ceramic coating. So this ceramic coating is the Armor Shield, and it's made by Avalon King. I am not sponsored by them, but I'm going to tell you I've used this quite a bit. I have about half a bottle left here, which should be plenty for the car, and I absolutely love the results. My Porsche 944 looks amazing, and it's been months and months since I did that, and so I think this is going to be the topping on the cake. This is going to be what makes the car look really, really good. And on top of that, so I'm not sponsored by them, I want to give one of these bottles away when I hit 10,000 subscribers, which is right around the corner. Now, I'm going to reach out to them, see if they'll sponsor it. If not, I'll go ahead and purchase it. And the way I'm going to give it away is you need to find me on Instagram. I'll put it on the screen here, but it's just Pete's Carport on Instagram. Go ahead and follow me, and I'll do a drawing with everyone who's currently following me when I hit 10,000 subscribers, and I will mail out a free bottle of this to whoever wins. So make sure you go find me on Instagram and follow me, and that'll also keep you up to date on all the projects we're doing. So without further ado, let's dive into this car, see what we can accomplish. I'm pretty excited, and I think it's going to look really, really good with a minimal budget and minimal things that we got to do. So let's get started.
32.
All right, guys, so it's been a full day to dry in the sun. Now it is not fully cured, so we're going to let this sit a few more days before we do any wet sanding and polishing, but that's going to allow us to now focus on the rest of the car. Now, I said from the beginning, this is not going to be a perfect job, but man, I think it looks 1,000 times better. The paint is not a perfect match, but we will be able to wet sand and blend this in, especially since we'll be wet sanding all this back and polishing and compounding all of this out. So today what we're going to do is take it down. I'm going to clean it down really good, and then we're going to start trying to compound out the trunk, the top here, the rest of this panel, and then the panel on the other side. And like I said from the beginning, the best way to do this, if you really want to do it the correct way, would be to wet sand all this down and then go ahead and respray and clear with a 2K clear, and that would give you a great finish. I would love to do that on the trunk and the top here, but these are such large surfaces that trying to use a spray paint, I don't recommend it, because with especially with the metallic, you're gonna get what's called striping. You're gonna have a lot of issues trying to get it to lay really nice. You definitely want to use a spray gun when using larger surfaces like this. But what we can do is do our best to compound out all of this, shine it up, and I think with the ceramic coating, you guys are gonna be really surprised how nice this car can come out. So let's take it down, get it washed, and we'll start working on the compound and polish. Okay, so we've got the car washed down. I just used some Dawn dish soap, and now we've got it pulled into the shade, which is very important when doing compounding and polishing. You don't want those materials to dry out on you. Now, I'm not gonna film a lot of this because there's some really good YouTubers out there that can explain to you exactly how to compound, polish, wet sand, when to do it, when not. I'm just gonna go with what I've learned, so I'm gonna kind of skim through it, show you guys the outcome. If you like the way it came out, you can then further do research, and I'm gonna tell you right now, the more you do it, the better you get. And I'm gonna say I'm still a beginner at this, but I'm getting better and better each time I do this. So my goal is to kind of come in here and polish, just polish, not compound out the hood and these top panels, because the paint on here is pretty good. I mean, there's scratches and stuff like that, but there's nothing we're gonna do about that. Then as I come into here, what I'm gonna do is compound and out whatever I don't feel. So if it's kind of still like a smooth surface, but it still has some of the fading, I'm going to compound that and then polish it. As I come up here, I can feel the actual clear coat. So I want to wet sand that. I'm going to try to blend it because it is going to be a slight different color, but I think once we ceramic coat everything, it should kind of blend in and not be so noticeable. And if you come along here, you'll start feeling some more rough surfaces. So that's kind of what I'm going to 3000 grit wet sand, and I'll show you guys clips of that. And coming along the trunk, it's kind of smooth, so I think I may just compound, polish it really good. And as you guys can see, the edge here is all rusted up. I'm guessing they might have had a lip spoiler on there at some point, or somehow they just rubbed off the paint. So I kind of came up with an idea, and I went down to the AutoZone around the corner and found this pretty neat universal carbon fiber spoiler. Now, obviously not real, it's just a rubberized, but it looks pretty good. It was like 35 bucks, so I figured that'll nicely cover up this, at least for the time being. And like I said, this is not going to give you the perfect outcome, but the goal here is to make this look way better than it did because a lot of these cars out here in Florida specifically are prone to this type of oxidation, clear coat peeling. I just want to show you a quick way to make the car look better so you're happier driving it around. So let's get set up, let's get started. I'll skim through a lot of this and then we'll move on to wet sanding the areas that we painted, polishing those out, and that'll be on this video. And then we'll go ahead and ceramic coat it and put our spoiler on and show you the final results of the entire car. So let's get set up.
Well guys, we are all finished up and I could not be happier with the results. I've said this from the beginning, it is not perfect, but we're gonna walk around and talk about how we transformed this car on pretty much zero budget. The only thing we had to buy was that rear spoiler that we'll walk around and take a look at again. So what did we do? We went ahead and fixed these completely faded mirrors that were not only faded, the paint was flaking off. So we went ahead and sanded those down, and we used a paint that I had sitting around I ordered in for my wife's BMW, and ironically, not a perfect match as you can see here, but a great blend considering it cost us $0. We went ahead and clear coated that, let that sit for a few days, then we wet sanded and polished those out. We also went ahead and wet sanded, compounded, and polished out this panel here. So that came out really good. Like I said, not perfect. You'll see some paint fading here, but as you come along here, 1,000 times better, and you'll start to see a little more fading, but a lot more blended than it was before. And it was really oxidized and kind of dirty, and grime had gotten built into that clear coat. So by wet sanding, we got rid of a lot of that. Now my favorite part is this trunk, because I did not expect this trunk to polish out as nicely as it did. And this spoiler, I think, really helped finish it off. Got rid of that, like, we had a bunch of scratches and some rust along here, so it was able to cover that up. And all that oxidation pretty much is gone, except for a little bit of fading along here. But from a slight distance, man, what a difference, what a transformation that trunk is. As we come along here, this area was real bad. We were able to blend that and smooth that out. So if we did decide to go ahead and put a wrap on this, at least the wrap would lay nice and smoothly. This area came out really good, polished up, and this is where our paint line is. I think that came out really good. There is no line because of the way we folded the paper, and the paint not being perfect, but very close, looks really good. So I couldn't be happier with the results there. Now, some of the things that didn't go as well as planned are, I mentioned this, this was just too dried out and oxidized, and when we went to wet sand it, we went through the paint. But that could lead to another video where we decide to go ahead and put a black or maybe a silver vinyl wrap on top of here. I'd love to do that. I've never done a wrap before, so that would be kind of a cool little project to show you guys. And let me know in the comments what you think, if you'd like to see a video on that. Now, as we move down here, we had a little mistake here. I don't think my prep work was really great. I could have done a lot better job, but I kind of rushed it a little. And we had a lot of overspray here. So when I was going and wet sanding, I unfortunately went through, this was actually when I was polishing. So I went through when I was polishing a little bit. But this side mirror came out absolutely amazing as well. This thing was completely faded and done. Now it's nice and glossy, shiny. And then just the rest of the car really polished out nicely, and with that ceramic coating that you guys can win. Do not forget to go follow me on Instagram. When I hit 10,000 subscribers, which is right around the corner, I'm gonna do a random drawing of all the Instagram subscribers I have, and one of you is gonna win a bottle of that Avalon King ceramic coating. And you guys have seen many videos I've done with it, and the results kind of just speak for themselves. I mean, it is a transformation in itself, and one of you guys can win that. It's very easy to apply. You don't need to be a professional, and you can go back and look at my videos to see how I applied it, and there's tons of other videos out there. So once again, guys, let me know in the comments what you think. This was a very inexpensive, not the professional way to do it, but if you're on a very tight budget, let's just say you want your daily driver to look a lot better, and you don't have the money to go ahead and get it painted. This is a cheap and easy way to polish out the paint, just make it look better, and you feel better when you drive a car that looks better. So once again, guys, my name's Pete. This is Pete's Carport. You guys have an awesome day, a blessed week, and I'll catch you on the next video.